Welcome back. Today I'm doing my 6 month update from having my aortic valve and aortic root replaced. It's a few days past 6 months. Actually, the 6 month kind of anniversary came and went, and I kind of missed it completely, which is, I guess, good news, right? Because I mean things are getting back to normal, and I think that's the big update. Now it's 6 months. If you've kind of been following, I've had some ups and downs, and it seems this past month has actually started to trend back up again, which I'm very thankful for. And so I'll just try to do a quick update. I'd hoped to be able to do this in a much better location than my basement office, just to give something different to look at, but the weather's not been great. So here we are. No big deal. I don't think anybody's watching this to see the scenery. But anyway, so jumping in, just quick update. The first thing I'll talk about will be INR and warfarin, just because that seems to always be something that people are kind of curious about. I had my INR checked. I'm to a monthly pattern right now, so I had it checked at the beginning of December, and it was 1.8, I believe it was, which is right in my goal area between 1.5 and 2. And then had it checked again the first part of January, which was a couple weeks ago, and it came in at 1.9. So a little bit higher, but still in that 1.5 to 2. So my my warfarin dosage has not changed since November. So I'm still on 15 milligrams Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then 12.5 milligrams the rest of the week, and it stayed right there in that range. I really don't think about it at all. I don't think about what I'm eating. I just eat my normal diet completely, and that includes splurging on some fast food sometimes, also eating a ton of broccoli one night, and just the whole thing. So it averages out, and it has not been an issue whatsoever. I think the only issue, if you want to have one, is my pharmacy deciding just to fill it ever so often, and so I have probably enough to last me for the next 6 months in the house, which is great to have. But it seems like every other day I'm getting a message that, hey, your warfarin's ready to pick up, and I guess at some point I should just stop picking it up and wait, but that's neither here nor there. But again, no issues whatsoever. INR has been perfectly in the range, 1.5 to 2 now, for the past couple months, so I'll go back in a couple weeks to have it checked again. I'm on that monthly check now. No dosage change in the last really 3.5 months, and so everything looks to be good there. The other big update, obviously, in my last video, the 5 month, I was coming off of just some real downtime and all sorts of different things going on, as far as just having those blackouts and heart racing and all the other things that were going on. And the day before I made that video, my cardiologist called and said, hey, on the monitor you were wearing, what we saw was some VTAC, and so you were having, which I've had the entire time, but it'll be like maybe 3 beats at a time, maybe 2 or 3 seconds worth, nothing major. But when I was wearing the monitor, in those instances where I was having those kind of big episodes, they saw one that was about 19 seconds long, which was, then you start getting into the area of concern. I haven't researched it too much. That's one of the things I've kind of backed away from a little bit, just to help clear my mind. But obviously that can be damaging to the heart, and so and having blackouts is not great either. So he prescribed the metoprolol, so the beta blocker there, which again, it seems like most people that have this surgery get put on the beta blocker right away after surgery, but I did not, and that was for a couple reasons. I think one of the main reasons is while I was in the hospital, I was kind of showing signs on the monitor of maybe a slight heart block, and so the surgeon didn't want to give it to me, just to make sure that rhythm was good and everything looked okay. And then the transition over to my cardiologist was just not good. And you can go back and watch a video of that, maybe the 3 month update or something like that. But he basically didn't even remember that I was having surgery. It was a kind of a bad thing. So I moved to a new cardiologist, And so, here we are 5 months after surgery is when I got put on the metoprolol. Again, I've heard different people will say different things about it, and here's what I'll say is, the first couple weeks, I did have some dizziness. I did have a lot of fatigue. I still kind of am working through fatigue and getting used to that, which I know is all part of the kind of side effects. But I had a lot of fatigue those first couple weeks. And truly, too, right after I recorded the last video, within 2 days, I guess within a week, we got some sort of virus here that seemed to be going around. So I was sick, and on top of that, taking the beta blocker for the first time. So I was just completely wiped out through the Christmas holiday, and really for a couple weeks. But once that kind of passed, I haven't really had the dizziness, side effect of it, and for the most part, my energy is starting to rebound, and I'm starting to kind of learn a little bit more about how it works. I think the biggest thing I'll say is it seems to have addressed the problem and kept any of the VTAC under control. Probably, I can think of 2 or 3 times since I've been taking it that it felt kind of the same as what would come around when those episodes happened when I blacked out, but I didn't, and my heart rate stayed calm, and then I didn't have, I mentioned in the last video, I didn't have the anxiety that came along with it. And my understanding, again, is very basic, is kind of what the beta blocker does, is it blocks maybe adrenaline from attaching to the heart to give you that fight or flight, so your heart starts racing, and then you just have all this adrenaline in your body that your organs are kind of going to. And so it's really helped those 2 things. It's really kept my heart rate normal. Obviously, it's dropped my resting heart rate, which is good. It's more close to what it was pre-surgery, and because I was still a little bit high, and for whatever reason, I still was, and I was having these issues, and so the beta blocker seems to have pulled that down. Blood pressure has been the best it's ever been. I mean, that's, again, another obvious side effect or effect of the beta blocker. But, my doctor wasn't concerned as long as I was under 140 and under 90. And so I stayed kind of in the 130s over 80. But now I'm much more into, around 130 over 70, 75 average. So it's pulled that down too, which, again, long term, that's a great benefit. But the biggest thing for me is it seems to have controlled those VTAC episodes, and I've not had a major episode yet. I've had a couple things that maybe felt like it could have been, but the symptoms were way, way lower, and I was able to continue on after maybe a couple minutes of feeling like, okay, something's a little bit different here. But it's really knocked that down, and I'm very thankful for that. Looking back, I wonder why I wasn't put on one earlier, but I'm not going to second guess anything because we seem to have it under control. So that being said, other than being sick and just getting used to a new medicine, month number 6 here has been much better. I've been getting more back on the upward slope of my recovery. So to kind of recap again, my first 3 months, I was down here to start with, and then the recovery started ramping, and I was starting back to strength training. I'm doing workouts. I was doing pre-surgery. I was running, every other day and walking a ton, and just felt great. And then really right around the end of October is when I started having these episodes. And honestly, it scared me. And so I was afraid to do any of those kind of strenuous exercises because I didn't know what was causing it at the time. And we tried a bunch of different things. We tried blood work. We tried this. We looked at blood sugar and all that. And like I said, it came down to on the heart monitor that my cardiologist prescribed showed VTAC around it. So that's when we were able to figure it out. But like I said, it was the first 3 months, started real slow, and then it was ramping up, and then it just dove. Really from the end of October until, mid-December was just not great. Previously I talked about I'd done like 120 days in a row of over 10,000 steps. I wanted to continue that goal. Well, that just went out the window, because again, part of it is weather change, so it made it a little bit difficult. It got darker earlier, but I was concerned about triggering one of these events, and so it really messed with me both physically and then mentally too. And I think mentally that part of that is that adrenaline that was causing these big anxiety attacks and panic attacks. And since I started taking the metoprolol, after it kind of got in my system and I got over whatever the virus I had was, I felt much better. Again, it's kind of a new normal with feeling a little less energy, and obviously kind of evens me out some as far as peaks and valleys of energy, but it's been so much better. And so I was still nervous because I've got this mental block about the whole thing now. But what I finally decided was, hey, I'm going to treat it like it month number 1, when I was at home, where I could go walk. And so, it felt like I was going backwards, but really I was going forward. So I just got back out on our street and made my little loop and walked for 20 minutes at a time. Slowly started building that back up. And then the first of the year, so this is about 2 weeks after I started taking the metoprolol, kicked back into going to the office 4 days a week, which that commute is anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour and a half there, and then the same on the way back depending on traffic. I was concerned about that because obviously I've had some of these experiences while I was driving, and I felt anxiety pretty heavy when I was driving, and so that it kind of worried me. But it seems, again, like those symptoms and what the beta blocker has done is cut those out. And so I've been back to in the office 4 days a week, and then I'm working from home on Fridays. And I think that's twofold helped. One, it's really gotten me back into a routine, and I'm not thinking about it as much. And I think all of us that have been through this can kind of go through that piece where you're just hypersensitive because you just had something big go on. So every little thing you're overanalyzing, or at least I am. So that's my personality. And so being back at work and having somewhere to go and be has really helped me focus my time and my thoughts. And then the other thing is it's helped push me to driving every day, for in traffic and all the things and being gone. And so it's really helped me mentally see, like, okay, I'm fine. I've done this enough. I keep going. And so I'm thankful for that. And the other thing about, I guess it's about the same time when I started going back, because we do have a gym at work. I decided, hey, I'm going to start back doing some light strength exercises. So it's a little bit different than what I was doing before, but I've basically done every day the past 3 weeks some sort of strength exercises with free weights, and I'm slowly building up that confidence again because I haven't had any issues. So building that confidence back up, being able to increase the weight some. I'm still like a max 30 pounds is what I'm doing, just because I want to slowly build and not overdo it quickly. But every day I do some sort of strength training, and then every day I'm walking some too. So typically when I'm in the office, I'll do 30 minutes of strength training, 30 minutes of walking on the treadmill. And at home, I'll just go out for a walk or something like that, and to go along with the strength training. So that's been great, and I've really felt my energy and my mood get better. And that's obvious because anytime you do any kind of exercise, that helps you mentally and physically. And so it feels like I'm finally getting back on the path to normal again. So that's all been great. A couple of the things so I did go back to and ask my cardiologist about 2 weeks after I was taking the beta blocker, hey, what kind of limitations do I have for exercise or anything else since I've been taking this, and we've seen that it's VTAC. And basically he said, light to moderate exercise is fine. So I'm not doing anything crazy with weight, doing lighter weights, higher reps, but I'm keeping an eye on my heart rate still, and just making sure I'm still not above 150. That's just where I'm going to be until I regain the full ability there. And then again, it's mental too, so keep it under 150 there. And so those workouts have been fine for that. But he also said, stay away from alcohol and caffeine, just because both of those things can tend to, trigger some VTAC episodes. And so that's been pretty easy. But I did notice before, because I would have one beer since I started taking the metoprolol even, and I would notice my heart rate itself would just start pounding. And it's always going up some when I've had alcohol, but it would shoot up into 130s and just stay there for 30 minutes after I had one beer. And so and that was before I talked to him. So after he said, no alcohol, I've been like completely fine with that. Not a big deal to lay off of that. The coffee I did ask, or the caffeine, because I love my coffee and I get migraines. And so when those two things come together and help each other. And so he said, hey, 2 or 3 cups a day is fine, but just don't go over that. So I've shifted down to just having 2 cups in the morning, and then I've brought back in tea in the afternoon, just so it's not as much caffeine. But again, those are really the only restrictions he said. It's just light to moderate exercise, caffeine, alcohol, stay away from those, very little in moderation too. And all that seems to be working. Again, I'll continue to say I've been so happy with changing to this new cardiologist. The responsiveness is amazing. I can send a message in our portal, and within 2 hours I get an answer back from him. Or I can call, talk to the nurse, and within an hour get a return with answers. And that's been really great to have for me, and really help put me at ease too, because I know that if I need something, I can ask. So again, that's the update there through work, routine, getting back into exercise. The beta blocker seems to be working. It's cut back on those symptoms of VTAC. So I'm very, very thankful for that. And that's really what's been going on this month. It is back to normal, which is a little bit sometimes worrisome, but I did have some good advice to suck it up and go. You're good, everything's fine, just keep working. And I kind of needed that encouragement. So that's where I am today and what the last month has been. Also, you can see here on my desk, my kids went together and got this for me for Christmas, this little anatomical heart model that you can break apart and see, so I can show people. They want to be able to show people, like, this is what I got replaced right in here. So that's my new little desk toy. The other thing, so just if you haven't seen this, if this is the first time you've watched the video, I do have lots more videos that kind of journal through this whole process, and I've talked about it a little bit, but I'll kind of recap the whole thing at 6 months and just say that this was a major life event. And so if you're going through it, if family members going through it, open heart surgery is not something that's just ho-hum, run-of-the-mill. So there is a lot of emotion that goes with it. There's a lot of ups and downs. Physically, again, you can track through some of mine, but what I'll say is this: 6 months came and went, and I didn't really notice it. And so that shows you how quickly it can kind of move past being an everyday thought. Now it still is, and I've had plenty of comments that you can hear me clicking right now, and so I hear it. I'm used to it at this point. It's not a big deal. People around me will hear it, but that's what it is. But it's beating and it's going. And it's great. But like I said, it's a big thing, so there's a lot that goes into it. And so if you're going through it, whatever, just want to encourage you just to keep moving. Be patient. This thing has taught me patience as much as any other life event that I've ever had. And I've got 4 kids, and I've been married for 15 years. So patience is something I've always been working on, and this one's teaching me even more, because I really thought I should be all the way better. At my last update at 5 months, by then in my brain, I thought I would be completely fine and back to 100%. And some people might be, and that's great. But I had to, reconsider, and now realize, like, this is just going to be a little bit longer journey. It does feel good to see improvement again. And so that's the encouragement too, is when you see improvement and you have a good day or a good week, appreciate that, and really know that there will be more. You know, there may be a break between them, and you may have some bad days or a bad week or a bad month, a bad 6-week spell like I had, but things will get better overall if you just kind of keep going, keep moving. Exercise is big, obviously, under whatever your cardiologist and doctors say. You know, taking your meds, following everything they say, but talking to people, having people in your life that can, you know, tell you truth and encourage you in a harsh way, if I put it that way, just to keep you moving, because it's easy to feel like down. Another thing that I was told, my mom told me, because she had gone through cancer several years ago, and she said, I think one of the hardest parts of this type of recovery for something so major is, for a period of time, you are the center of attention for everybody that's helping you. And so everything kind of revolves around you. And breaking out of that can be difficult mentally, because, again, you have to get back to normal, because that's the whole point of the surgery. And this may not be for everybody, and if you don't go through this, you know, that's great, that's wonderful. But if you do, it is hard to kind of get back to it, because life does continue on. And so my experience has shown me get back into those daily routines, to keep your mind moving forward. You know, one of the things I haven't done yet, and I plan on trying to get back into this month, is just some of my hobby woodworking that I do. And so that's what I'm going to move into. And so hopefully next month I can do an update and talk about that. And, you know, doing woodworking with power tools while on warfarin. So that's something that, you know, should be fun, right? Like, just don't cut yourself. Anyway, all that being said, if you're going through it, know someone that's going through it. I just encourage you to keep moving, keep going. You know, improvements do happen. There is mental hurdles to get over. There are physical hurdles to get over. So, you know, if you need counseling, seek counseling, whatever that needs to be to help you get better. But keep moving, and enjoy the fact that, you know, you're on the road to recovery. And like I said, I know that everybody's experience is not this, and if it's not your experience and you have a bad experience, I'm very sorry. But if you're similar to me, then, you know, this is at least the experience I've had. So that's basically it. That's 6 months. Half a year has gone by since I've had my surgery, and starting to feel better after a dip. And hopefully this will continue, and then next month when I make an update, it can be the same type of thing, the same trend up, maybe more exercise, getting that back into play, and just maybe some other nice things on top of that. But that's it. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your comments. I'm, you know, happy to share again. I'm not a doctor. I have no medical advice for you. I just can share my experience, and so I appreciate everybody that watches, and hopefully it helps a couple people along the way. And we'll see you in a month.